Welcome, everyone. This is our AGM for the year of 2024, plus half an hour to focus on the urgency of Bills 14 and 15. And before we start, let me see if have I said anything in the script I needed to add, right? Yes. The event's being recorded. If you really don't want to be on camera, you can turn off your camera. Please stay muted and use the chat for conversations among yourselves. If you need help, you can message Shaylee using the chat feature. Her name includes tech support. And then I'd like to invite Catherine to do our land acknowledgement.
Thank you, Guy. Before we begin, I'd like to invite us all to take a moment to ground ourselves, wherever we are joining from, and to reflect on the lands we occupy and the relationships we hold with them. We acknowledge that the place we call British Columbia exists on the unceded ancestral territories of hundreds of distinct Indigenous nations. These lands were never surrendered or ceded. Indigenous peoples have lived here since time immemorial and continue to care for the land, waters, and all beings with deep knowledge, resilience, and responsibility. As an organization that works on climate and environmental issues, we recognize that Indigenous peoples have been the original stewards of the lands and waters we seek to protect. Their governance systems, cultural knowledge, and relationships with the natural world are essential to climate justice and ecological well-being. Acknowledging territory is just the first step. Our organization has committed to including Indigenous voices in our work, not as a token, but as an active and ongoing responsibility. This means listening deeply, supporting Indigenous leadership, and recognizing that climate solutions must be rooted in justice, sovereignty, and respect for Indigenous rights and title. Let us carry this awareness into today's meeting and into all the decisions we make as we work toward a more just, sustainable, and collective future.
Thank you, Catherine. But if you're new, can you introduce yourself in the chat and add your member's name, rename yourself to include your member's name if you're a voting member of We Can. If you're not sure how to do this, let Shaylee know in the chat and she'll help you. So now I'm going to do a slide share thing. Try to. So this is our AGM and our mobilization to stop Bills 14 and 15. So basically, we're going to have half an hour on Bills 14 and 15 with the letter to David E. we've crafted. Matt House, Doug Courtemanche, and Suzanne Senger start the AGM at 10:30. And we'll start promptly. So if the discussion on Bills 14 and 15 is all over the place, we'll just cut it off and continue after the AGM. So to start things, we need to stop Bills 14 and 15. The government wants to push through controversial Bills 14 and 15 this coming week with very loose wording that could allow the fast tracking of LNG projects and no First Nations consent. We believe that the majority of NDP MLAs, mostly women, are not comfortable with this, but are unwilling to speak out. So we need to phone and email our NDP MLAs as soon as possible and urge them to stop acting like conservatives. These are, in particular, we think the MLAs who have a green leaning, who are maybe uncomfortable with what's going on here. And so we have written a letter to David Eby, but I'm going to share that later when we've heard from Suzanne and Doug and then Matt Hulse. So Suzanne, do you want to take 5 minutes to fill us in on your perspective on all this?
Sure.
And introduce yourself as well, because I failed to. And Suzanne is the executive director of the Sunshine Coast Conservation Association, right?
Yes, and I will just say I thank you for inviting me to this meeting and this conversation. And I wear a couple of different hats, and so yeah, I'm not entirely comfortable wearing my Sunshine Coast Conservation Association hat and talking about politics. So as a voting member, as the SCCA, I feel I'm not totally sure how this conversation will go, I'll be honest.
Okay. So you're here as yourself.
As myself, yes. And that is because I maintain the sovereignty of my opinion, regardless of what groups I belong to. And I think that's really important because oftentimes groups like ours aren't able to speak really clearly and directly on these issues. And we get sort of caught in that sort of politics and lobbying line. And so this is why I'm showing up on my own to speak for myself. Having said that, the organization that I work with, our mandate is biodiversity conservation. And we look at bills 14 and 15 through the lens of how this legislation could, enable projects of all kinds. And the more I learn about these bills and how they work together collectively with some of the other legislation that's coming forward, the more concerned I am that this is basically a body of legislation coming through the Premier's office that is deeply deregulatory in nature, basically circumventing environmental assessment processes and very wide open. Like, we don't know what projects will be, just approved by the BC Energy Regulator, or will, be allowed to circumvent due process. And that's very troubling from our perspective. We're very watershed focused at the SCCA, but other groups that I work with are dealing with oil and gas projects, and community groups that I work with are dealing with development projects. And so there's this huge unknown that we're all looking at and facing. And I'm also very much a New Democrat. I work with the BC NDP. I'm in the party. I belong to the Standing Committee on the Environment and Economy. There are a lot of really good, very active environmentalists in the political party who are, also expressing deep concern about this, and sort of confusion because it's all happened rather quickly. And there's quite a lack of clarity, and we're not getting that sort of back and forth feedback from our elected representatives. We're hearing a lot of the Premier says it won't be used for controversial projects. But what's a controversial project? So there aren't, clear definitions in legislation. That's just, it's really quite strange. One of the other issues that I'm feeling quite uncomfortable about is, the confidence nature of Bill 15. So this is being framed as a confidence motion, which basically pressures anyone who has any internally in the political party and in government who has any sort of reservations or opposition to this. It's forcing their hand. And that just feels deeply undemocratic.
Yeah.
So
can you wind up within 1 minute?
Yeah, I think I've been trying to sort this issue out for a couple of weeks, and I put together this comprehensive document. It's all just me trying to figure out what these issues are and trying to bring others along with me in the process. So I'll pop the link in the chat if anybody's interested in seeing sort of my experience.
That Google Doc is very full of detailed work. You've done a fabulous job there for us all, Suzanne. Thanks so much. Doug Courtemanche, do you want to take 5 minutes to share your perspectives on these things? Yeah. Doug is active with Doctors for Planetary Health and is a constant volunteer with WECAN.
Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thanks very much. I'm kind of in the same position as Suzanne.
Can everyone mute themselves? Okay, carry on, Doug.
In that I'm just a regular citizen of the province in a way, and I'm not a lawyer, and I'm not a politician. I'm a member of Doctors for Planetary Health, and interestingly, CAPE, Canadian Association of Physicians for the Environment, which has historically not taken up political positions because of their interest in maintaining their ability to actually sit at the table with government and talk about policy. CAPE is against Bill 15 directly and is going to speak publicly about that at some point, which I find quite interesting. The problem with Bill 15 is it gives the government sweeping powers for which they don't have a mandate from the election. And the confidence motion is really a critical part of it. In particular, the ability to ignore environmental assessments and environmental protection and to skirt around DRIPA. There are 3 First Nations NDP MLAs which will be caught in the confidence motion bind that was already mentioned. So I think it's a real challenge. I mean, as a physician, there's huge health harms that are recognized from the fossil fuel industry. You know, there's the byproducts are things that cause climate change, but there's a lot of things that affect health. There's a lot of toxic products of the industry, air pollution. There's damage to the environment and water table and all sorts of things that most of you know about. And this set of bills really will facilitate expanding the industry, which has significant negative effects on human health and doesn't seem to be really in the best interests of the people of BC. So it's good that a huge hue and cry is being raised. On Wednesday morning at the courthouse downtown in Vancouver, there'll be a march for the Gatineau to support their court case, and there's going to be a protest against Bill 15 at that time if anybody's interested. You know, there's a triangle that I'm working on. It has, on one side there's government, on the other side there's industry, and at the bottom of the triangle is civil society. And activism is a legitimate political activity whereby civil society can talk to their government, and it should not be managed violently with policing, because the other relationships between government and industry are not managed that way. They're managed through regulation and backroom deals and so on. So we need to be visible, we need to be vocal, we need to be credible, and we need to speak up for the planet.
Thanks. Thanks, Doug. And Matt House from EcoJustice, welcome. And if you have 5 minutes to share your thoughts, that'd be fabulous.
Hi, thanks everyone. My name is Matt Hulse, lawyer at EcoJustice, based over in Victoria. So I can speak to Bill 14, which I know the most. I haven't done the analysis necessary to talk about Bill 15 in any depth, but basically, Bill 14 is the Renewable Energy Project Streamlined Permitting Act, which exempts a number of renewable energy projects, wind farms, 9 wind farms in particular that have already been given the go-ahead by BC Hydro. But it exempts those from the environmental assessment process, and it exempts North Coast Transmission Line from the environmental assessment process as well. And so typically with the Environmental Assessment Act, if your project is of a certain size, you have to go through an EA process. And for wind turbines, it's 15 turbines or bigger needs an EA. And so what this is, and all these projects are 15 turbines or bigger. So this is an interesting, position to be in, because obviously we need more energy, more renewable energy. We don't want it to be used for LNG, that is true, but it's a hard place to figure out how to navigate, the streamlining more renewable energy while ensuring it gets the appropriate assessment that it needs. And what this legislation does, is it takes these projects and gives them to the jurisdiction of the BC Energy Regulator, which traditionally has regulated the oil and gas industry in British Columbia, but has recently been expanded to address things like hydrogen, methanol, that type of thing, and now renewable energy. So the key difference here is that when you go through an environmental assessment process, you're looking at these big ticket projects which have big impacts themselves, but contribute to broader cumulative effects across in the region. And there's a very public process with clear steps for public participation. And the EA Act, the current EA Act is very clear about trying to seek consensus with Indigenous communities and considering the consent of those nations. But with the BC Energy Regulator process, there is not that type of transparency and public participation, which, while these projects will still go through some kind of assessment, we don't know the rigor of that assessment, and there won't be a way for communities to ensure that they're okay with the particular projects being proposed. And with renewable energy, as we saw in Ontario a number of years ago, not every community is on board with renewable energy, and there are some legitimate concerns. There are also some more dubious concerns which don't have as much validity. But if you push through projects, even if they're well designed and with good intention, you may get community backlash that could prevent developments of renewable energy more generally, as well as, on the other side, pushing through projects that don't have the support for real reasons because they damage local ecology and contribute to cumulative effects. So the big picture is that this legislation will remove that public participation and transparency. The BC Energy Regulator, from my experience, is not particularly well set up to engage with communities and individuals. It is not an assessment body. And so it's unclear that they'll have the expertise and capacity to do the job that has traditionally been done by the BC Environment Assessment Office in the assessment process. So that's not to say that these projects won't get assessed, because for all those projects currently under the existing regime that are smaller than 15 turbines, they still go through an internal process. It's just that it's not visible to the public. So there will be, that process will presumably still continue. There's no indication that it won't, but it won't have that visibility that I think is important when we're trying to do a wholesale shift to renewable energy, as we're discussing, today at the political level.
Thanks, David. So now we have crafted a letter to David Eby. I'm going to read that letter, take 3 minutes, and then we'll have 10 minutes for discussion on the whole thing, and then ideally a motion to approve that letter. So let me just show you the letter first. And I'm going to make this a bit bigger so you can see this thing. Dear David, dear Premier Eby and members of the NDP caucus, we are writing to urge you to withdraw Bills 14 and 15, enabling time for a reset that will safeguard our environment, our climate progress, and First Nations consent from abuse by a future government that might not share the NDP's values and which might use the vagueness of the bills to fast-track all sorts of problematic projects. We represent close to 300 member groups across BC, and we share our concerns with the First Nations Leadership Council, Union of BC Municipalities, the Wilderness Committee, Eco-Justice, Stand.Earth, the Green Party, and hundreds of thousands of people who have become aware of what is in the bills. The two bills will give Cabinet extraordinary powers to override local government regulations, including official city plans, zoning bylaw amendments, and subdivision approvals. You ask us to trust you. You promise us that we will like the bills. Yet the criteria for designating a project as provincially significant, enabling fast tracking, are still under development and will only be released after the legislation has been passed. You tell us that the legislation will not be used for pipelines or LNG projects, but if this is so, we urge you to write this into the bills, including for electrification projects intended to serve the LNG industry. You assure us that no project will be fast-tracked without First Nations consent, partnership, and financial benefits. But if this is so, we urge you to write this into the bills. The bills assign greater regulatory responsibility to the BC Energy Regulator, which is governed by the BC Energy Resources Activities Act, which includes no mention of greenhouse gases or the climate crisis. This does not give us comfort. We understand that you want to streamline projects to speed up the regulatory process and to build, following advice from Derek Thompson and Ezra Klein in their book Abundance. They rightly recommend streamlining regulations to facilitate the rapid development of renewable energy technologies and infrastructure. They want, as we do, a world where clean energy is abundant and accessible, addressing the climate crisis while fostering economic growth and social equality. But they do not advocate for streamlining projects that are causing the climate crisis, such as LNG. BC's LNG is not the cleanest LNG in the world. It's the same as all other LNG projects, and its climate impact is as bad or worse than burning coal. The myth that it is clean is industry propaganda designed to hide the reality that by using electricity to liquefy the gas, the 10% of the gas that is saved becomes available to burn later. Electrification will have zero impact on LNG's global climate pollution, but for BC it will be hugely expensive, cause many disruption, and raise the cost of living. We know the First Ministers have collectively agreed to accelerate project approvals, including a one project, one review approach, but this should not be code for build anything, including projects that override First Nations consent or worsen the climate crisis. If you need a big project to take to the Premier's meeting with Prime Minister Carney on June 2nd in Saskatoon, take a commitment to build 300,000 units of affordable non-profit housing by 2030, which are so urgently needed. So it's 10:20. Let's open the floor. Raise your yellow hand. And the briefer we are, the more people can participate. Roger, yes.
Thank you, and thank you for the session. Rather than putting in urge to write, I think you could put in necessary to include. Under energy conservation, or energy projects, I think we should look at efficiency first.
Oh, are you wordsmithing the thing?
Sorry?
Are you wordsmithing the letter?
Yes.
Oh wow! If we start doing that, we'll get nowhere because everyone will want to wordsmith little bits of it. Can you live with it as it stands?
Yes. And the last paragraph, I think, zero energy building. Thank you.
Okay, I can add that one easily. Yes. Well, no energy is zero, and no building is zero energy. So it's complex. You know, that's what wordsmithing gets you into. Yeah. Doug.
Yeah, I was just interested to follow up on the initial conversation. So hidden at the bottom of Bill 15 in Part 7, which is titled Repeal and Consequential Amendments, is a section to amend the Environmental Assessment Act and allow the minister through the Lieutenant Governor and Council to prescribe the period of assessment, establish the process of assessment, the scope of assessment, the method of assessment, the timeline, consensus seeking, and so on. So it really gives the government inside powers to do what they want with environmental assessment for these projects. It's very vague and it's quite concerning.
Thanks. Anyone else want to raise thoughts or questions about this? I have added low emission housing. Suzanne, yes.
I don't want to wordsmith. I just want to note that oftentimes in the climate conversation, we forget the biodiversity crisis. And if there's any other opportunity to put biodiversity in your letter, sorry about wordsmithing. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Jane Kilty, and then, yeah.
I just wanted to suggest where you mention worse than coal, that you just put a footnote of the 2024 study. Because I'm not sure the
Add the
government
reference into the,
even paying attention.
yeah, we can put the reference into that. That's non-controversial. Yes, thanks. Any other thoughts? Yes, Savannah.
Ooh, thank you. Just a quick note from a meeting with a lot of MLAs and around Bill 15 and around energy projects, jobs.
Hang on a tick. Can everyone mute themselves? There's some hammering going on in someone's background. Thanks. Roger, maybe it's you. Thanks. Go ahead, Savannah. Now you need to unmute.
Sorry, I think that actually might be me.
Oh, there you go.
1 second. Working from home. Just that jobs is a major factor in the legislature right now around energy projects and around LNG especially. So in terms of energy projects, if there's like wordsmithing bad again, but in terms of where LNG is also a shortfall for British Columbians, that it won't create jobs is like a very small piece to add into there, but it's just a failure of the BC NDP to stand up for what there actually is in their mandate by using these measures.
Yeah. Any other thoughts? Anyone else want to raise their hand? And let's take Suzanne again. Yes, go ahead.
Curious about follow-up to the letter. So the group will, I guess, vote on it or just all sort of agree to send it out to the respective groups, and then are there other actions that you're hoping we'll take?
This is also quickly, it's so fast moving. We will, when it's approved, we will PDF this and send it to the government immediately. We will put it on the social media. We'll put it in the email groups that we're part of. We'll tell our members that we're doing it, and anything else anyone suggests, frankly. Bruce, yes, go ahead.
Yes, I would like to, coming from Nature Cowichan, I would like to echo Suzanne's comment about putting biodiversity in there. I think that's a large part of this environmental assessment, and I think biodiversity needs to be included. Okay,
let's quickly do this. Let's our environment, our biodiversity, right at the top.
And then right at the bottom.
Again at the bottom.
Yep. Last sentence, I think, was where I noticed it would fit perfectly, or maybe
override and worsen the climate and biodiversity crises.
Correct. Or yes, please.
Thank you.
Biodiversity crises, right? Okay, good.
Thank you.
Let me stop sharing then, and I'm going to invite a vote on this one. Let's move ahead to the established quorum part of this meeting before we do that vote. Catherine, do you want to have a comment about quorum for this?
Yes,
We have
please.
20 legal members, right?
Yeah, right now, I can tell you that we have quorum, but I may not know of some of the people who are entitled to vote because we need to have your name that you registered by and the organization you're representing in the name that appears at the bottom of your photograph or your icon. And there's a few people out there who just have their name. I've been sending you private messages asking you to add your organization and to make sure that you're registered, the name that you registered under is what's showing, because otherwise I can't verify that you are in fact entitled to vote. So there's 3 people out there right now who don't have organizations by their name, and 1 person who's got a name that's not on our list of people who signed up to vote.
And Laurie, do you want to chip a word in?
Yeah, I'm not sure if I am registered. First Things First is registered. I am a board member. I don't know
That
how
counts.
detailed that has to be. Okay.
Last year, we did a more rigorous process when we invited every group to nominate someone, and we didn't do that this year.
And you are okay. I've been checking names against our list.
Good.
So if you haven't heard from me that there's a problem, you're okay.
Okay, let's go to stop the spotlighting so we can see everyone.
Yeah, and let me just do a quick count because I think at last count I had 27, but a couple of people or 1 person has added a name. So let me do a quick count here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22.
It's enough.
23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Okay, we have 28, so we have
Okay.
quorum. And Guy, I'm going to ask you when you take votes today, it will be important for you we want to collect the numbers of people who are voting yes, no, and abstaining. We have some people who may need to abstain from this vote.
Tom, a quick word.
Hi, Guy. Hi, everyone.
Hi, Tom.
Yeah. So, I don't believe I'm authorized to approve a joint letter on behalf of BCSEA.
It's okay then, don't vote.
I'm not-
Then you can abstain.
You can abstain. Yeah.
I will abstain on.
I'm going to call the vote. The motion is that this meeting approves the letter to David Eby as shared in this meeting. Is there someone to move that motion?
I'll do that.
I see Doug. Is there someone to second it?
I second it.
Tara, and then we'll go to discussion. Harry, do you have comments on this? You're muted.
I think the motion should read that we can approve, not that this meeting approved.
Okay, that we can approve. Okay, can you catch that, Catherine?
Got it.
Are there any discussions that we have the motion on the table? If not, I'll move to all those in favor. Please raise your electronic hand. It's in the react button.
Guy, Savannah had a question whether we're going to send this letter out on Monday or later.
Yes, we are. We'll send it certainly. Yes, ASAP before Monday.
Before Monday.
Yeah, ASAP.
Okay.
So raise your yellow hands. There are 5 in each row, so that's 20, which is a
Just
majority.
keep your hands up because I need to verify that everybody who's voting is a voting member. Bev Bacon, I don't see that you are representing an organization. So are you able to put that into your name? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. And who is Catherine's iPhone? It's not me. My iPhone's right here. It's not on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Keep your hands up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15.
And yourself.
16, 17, 18, 19, 20.
So Eric says we have enough
Okay.
votes in any case, right?
We have enough. I just wanted to have the count. We've got 24, and
Right.
please check for against and
Does
abstain.
anyone wish to abstain from this?
First, put your hands down.
Everyone put hands down, everyone. I know this is laborious for everyone. The hands down for everyone. Bev and Catherine Laws, hands down. Bev, do you want to? Bev,
do you have any for Machosen Climate Action Team?
Machosen, okay. So can you put that, change your name? So Bev is with Machosen Climate Action, which is a member. Anyone wishing to abstain?
Yes.
Sebastian and Tom
And
Brad
Ben.
and Savannah, yes. And
Audrey.
Audrey's clapping. I don't know if that's an abstain.
I know she wants to abstain.
Okay, it's Audrey. Okay, anyone wish to vote against this? Hands all down. Any oppositions to this? Tom, are you voting against this? No. Okay, I declare the motion passed. Thank you. We're 10:31. Wow, we got that done. We will accelerate spreading this motion around as fast as we can. Now, let me go back to sharing the agenda. Hang on, that's not what I want. I want this slide here. So this is our rough agenda. Call to order, we've done that. Minutes of the meeting, minutes 24, annual report, an election of the 4 members. Then we just make sure we have the official agenda. So we are moving to the minutes of the 2023 AGM. And I'm not organized enough to share them. Catherine,
I'm pasting it in.
Stop sharing. Can you share the minutes of the 2023?
I've just pasted it into the, hang on, I got to send it to everybody, not just to one person. I've been sending,
I thought I
there
had
it
that.
goes.
To share,
It's in the chat.
Oh, it's in the script as well. Can you scroll up, Harry?
Just a second here.
The link to it's in the Zoom invite.
Or can you stop sharing and let Catherine do it?
Yeah, okay.
The link is in the Zoom invite. Everyone can get it.
It's in the chat.
Okay, I'm going to share now. I got it.
Okay.
So we all have it. This is for just the minutes of last year's meeting. Only those who are present at last year's meeting need to vote to approve this. It's just a legal thing we have to do at each meeting. Does anyone need time to read these, or should we just press ahead and approve them? I'm going to, that's the adjournment. I'm going to stop sharing and ask for a motion to approve the 2020 minutes of the 2023 AGM.
I'll move that.
Moved by Catherine, seconded by Roger. Any discussion? Any abstentions? All in favor? Bruce, is that a vote or a question? Bruce Coates, you're muted.
Vote.
A vote, okay. All in favor of those who are here last year approved that.
Okay, there's
Need to put my agenda up to.
all opposed. Take your hands down, first of all.
Sorry, this is so laborious. It's the way these things are, right? I'm not opposed. I'm into lower hand. Roger, you're into lower. Okay.
Anybody opposed?
Okay, no, then we declare the motion passed.
Well, anybody want to abstain?
Did we have abstentions? Well, those who weren't here, those who weren't present, by definition, are not voting or abstaining at all. So they're just not part of it. Saskia, Lauren, okay. So I'm going to go back to we now come to, let me see, the next thing on the agenda is the annual report. And I'm going to give me patience to get to it. Read through this, it'll take about, okay, here's our annual report. We are a empowered network of nearly 300 organizations. We have members all across BC. Those are just some of the locations where our member groups are present, right up to Smithers. There are 32 realms of climate action where groups are busy doing stuff, campaigning, working, educating. And just on those 3 examples, that's how many groups are working on these different projects. The Stop TMX people are still working to prevent Burnaby from being incinerated by a disaster, right? All these, there's so much activity going on, so much activity going on. This is our board of directors, 11 elected positions, 10 working teams, and an executive committee. If I'm going too fast, shove your hand up and I'll see it or someone will tell me, right? These are our current board of directors, for which so much thanks. We enjoy meeting together. We're a great team of people. We really appreciate everyone's involvement. This is Shaylee, our network administrator, who holds all the loose pieces together and stops it all falling apart because we're doing so many things, right? This is our executive team, myself, Tara, Catherine Maas, and Robert Gunn, and Shaylee. Our provincial team met regularly with staff from the Climate Action Secretariat, participated in the BC Climate Emergency Campaign, met with George Heyman, Minister of Environment, collaborated with member groups on transit issues, met with George Anderson, MLA, the Parliamentary Secretary for Transit, delivering a 7-page shared document from other groups, built a relationship with 2 new Green Party MLAs, and after the 2024 provincial election, we sent mandate letter proposals to several key ministers urging a stronger focus on climate. We printed 200 copies of this full-color brochure on climate worries and climate solutions to address the affordability issue, that climate solutions are an affordability initiative. And we've printed 600 copies of this brochure on liquefied climate disaster with 14 detailed reasons why a disaster. We've given a copy to every MLA, and we have copies available. We have 200 copies if you want one, and there's no postage, there's no postal strike, so you can ask for as many copies as you want, $1 each plus postage. Our local government team, all our teams meet every 2 weeks on average. In 2024, the local government team focused on building key relationships and developing a strategy to identify and support climate champions for the 2026 civic elections. We hosted a mini CAPA to help members advocate for climate motions at the 2024 UBCM conference. Our members team, we've grown from 242 to nearly 300 member groups. We now have a web-based map of all our member groups. And we're developing an interactive function on our website that will enable member groups to collaborate and exchange on shared projects. In summer 2024, we received a PIX grant to hire Juliana Janot, who interviewed 80 of our member groups to learn what they're up to and their strengths and needs. 2 of our volunteers, Jocelyn Reyes and TJ Nyhan, are writing regular stories about the work of our member groups, which we share in our newsletter. And we now have a membership directory, interactive, on the website where you can, find out what groups are working on climate justice or on agriculture or on pipelines or whatever, and where they are. Our CAPA team held 6 assemblies to bring member groups together, one on how can we accelerate the BC's climate movement, 2, in fact, on working with Wilderness Committee and Dogwood to get on frack-free BC, 1 on what's the road forward for BC's climate movement, 1 on what should our goals be for the next 5 years, which feeds into our strategic plan, and 1 just recently on social media for climate action. Our Indigenous engagement team works to build trusting relationships with Indigenous leaders and leaders of BC First Nations climate initiatives and to advance understanding of climate action and initiatives. We are building the Indigenous Climate Action Data Quilt, and we've moved to a new more user-friendly platform called Explorer.land. We're still getting settled into that platform to verify the data using the remains of a grant we got from the Glasswaters Foundation. Then we'll go public on the whole thing. We do regular lunch and learns now, just to amplify the work that First Nations are doing. We did one with the Tlingit Homeland Energy Sustainable Hydro Project, the Fort Nelson Tudeka Geothermal Project, 1 on the BC First Nations Climate Action and Strategy Plan with Cameron Spooner from UBCIC, and 1 with Ariel Chekwe de Ranger on a huge $4 million Climate Breakthrough Award and a project to foster global participation by Indigenous people for climate solutions all around the world. That's the Ariel's initiative. And then coming up, Friday of next week, a 2-hour celebration of Indigenous food and cooking with Jared Kustenduch Williams, passionate traditional food chef. It's going to be an amazing event. If someone can put the link into the chat, because I know it's all set up in the script to do that. And we're also doing movie nights. We had one on Wilfred Bruck, the indigenous astronomer, and one on incandescence about wildfires in BC, and we're planning more. And so Friday night, movie night. Our communications team looks after our technology platforms, website, newsletter, and social media platforms. Our weekly newsletter reaches 2,000 plus people with a 40% open rate. During 2024, we promoted around 150 climate action campaigns, an average of 3 a week, really. And our members' Facebook page has got 600 members, and the other one's got 1,000 plus followers. We produced 199 issues of our weekly newsletter now, packed full of stories, etc. Thanks to Shaylee putting the work together. And we have a climate events calendar now where you can list all your events on our website. And then we also got a $15,000 PIX grant this summer to hire Francia Inder as our SMAC summer intern. That's Social Media Action for Climate Knowledge, who's working with, I think, 11 member groups to improve their social media skills. Our JEDI team continued working towards implementing the recommendations in the JEDI proposal, which was accepted by the board. We now have a rota for a process observer at every board meeting to increase our effectiveness and learn as we go along to make our meetings better and more inclusive. We've drafted a group agreement to create a safe space for all board meetings, which had a lot of detailed and fine-tuned discussions. So we're all on the same page around basically building a culture of kindness, respect, listening, and decolonialization. Our fundraising team, we have now 39 monthly donors who are the real bread and butter of our work, and many annual donors. So we really thank our donors. And there's a link in the chat if you want to add in addition to our finances. We depend entirely on our monthly donors, really. And our fundraising team works to continue that work. We have published a fundraising toolkit, which is free to download from our website. With nearly 300 member groups, just think what we could achieve if we all pull together. So now I want to stop sharing and ask if there are any, before moving to a motion to accept the annual report, are there any questions you'd like to raise or discussions from anyone? Yes, Roger. You have to unmute.
Great presentation. Thank you very much.
Oh, there you go. We can always take that. People told me it would take 20 minutes, but I think that was actually like less than that. Anyone else with questions or discussions or thoughts or comments? If not, I move to the vote. The vote is, what's the motion? Is it in the agenda? Is it in the script?
Motion to approve the annual report.
Yes, there's a motion to approve the 2024 annual report. Is someone willing to move that motion? Moved by Douglas, seconded by Laura. And any now any discussion is the technical time. I should have done that. I did that before. Any all those in favor, please raise your electronic hand.
Let me just keep your hand up while
Keep your
I.
hands up, and don't forget to raise your own hand, Catherine. Yeah.
Right. Thank you for that reminder. Okay.
The count. The count. No, it
Makes
should
me
be
think
called.
of makes me think of Sesame Street. One.
Actually, you're the Countess of Weekend. You've got a new title.
Just checking.
Count the rows and multiply by 5.
Well, I have
No,
to
that's
check.
that's not the game, Harry. She has to
I have to
validate.
check to make sure everybody that's voting is actually qualified. So give
If
me a
you're-
second to do that.
If you're not a member of Weekend or a director, don't vote.
Okay. I got it. 22.
Good. Any abstentions? You can put all your hands down. Hands down, 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 down. Down, down, down. Look, I'm talking to my dog here, right?
Guy, your hand has to be down.
Lower hand. Thank you for that one. We still, Harry, Audrey, Sebastian, Eric, please lower your hands. Otherwise, we can't vote for any abstentions.
Yeah.
Any votes against? I declare that motion passed. So we're now going to go back to screen sharing for our financial PowerPoint. There we are. Have I got that in the right place? Our financial statement. And I'm going to blow this up. I don't mean it that way. Make it bigger for you. Hang on, the wrong button. Why can't I? Pause with me. I'm going to make this bigger. There we are. So basically, in I'll do a slideshow. Let me play from the current slide. That'll make it easier. Yeah. In 2024, we took in income of 10,000 from monthly donors, 4,000 from individual donors. Total donations of 16,000, a PIX grant of 15,000 for Julia Jano gave us an income of 31,000. Expenditures were basically staff costs, which is Juliana Jano, 15,000 with deductions. And then professional fees of 15,000 for a combination of our network coordinators, and then various network platform costs, other overheads down below. So I'm going to leave that up for a while so that you can just ponder it and then take it down so that I can invite questions. Does anyone wish me to leave it up longer? Put your hand up. Okay. I now invite any questions around our financial statement. Yes, Sebastian.
Yeah, question on platform. I think that there was a discussion at some point at communications about looking at other options from MailChimp, and I'm wondering if that's gone anywhere.
Yes, we have. We've changed to MailPoet. It integrates with our website better, and it's much cheaper as well. We've been using MailPoet for the last 10 newsletters, and no one even noticed.
Awesome.
So that was a good suggestion from you, Sebastian. Any other questions around our financial statement? And well, there we go. Is there a motion to adopt our financial statement? The motion for the board is
Robert moved.
Robert moved, seconded by Sebastian. Any discussion at this point? So I'll call a motion to adopt our financial statement. All in favor, please raise your electronic hands.
Okay, and hold them up there for a second
Hold them up there.
while I verify that everybody's hand is a voting hand.
Harry, do you want to vote? Yes, there we go.
The balance sheet wasn't displayed. I can share it after the motion.
Statement. We don't need the balance sheet. We need the statement to share.
I'm sorry, the balance sheet is always part of a financial statement.
Okay, then.
Okay, hang on a second. Just hang on.
Who is Sneha?
I don't know. I think that's the person who was Catherine's
member group. I'm new, and this is my first meeting, so apologize. I was not able to join in at the right time.
Can you write your name in there so that we know if you're a member of a weekend member group?
Yes, I'm a new member of Weekend.
Which group are you with?
I'm an organization called Green Nudge.
Okay, Green Nudge. We approved you just recently. Yes, thank you.
Yes, exactly. I'm sorry. There's a lot of people at my house, so that's why I'm on mute. But I'm Sneha Soni from Green Nudge. Yes.
Okay.
Okay. So the count is 22 for.
Well, some hands have gone down automatically.
That's okay. That's okay. I had it tracked.
Okay. Any votes? Lower all your hands, please. Lower your hands. Me too. Lower hand. Green Nudge, can you lower hand? And Sebastian, can you lower your hand? Any abstentions?
Well, any negatives? Any
votes against? Any negatives? If not, we declare the motion passed. And Harry, you wanted to share the financial statement, the balance sheet as opposed to the financial statement, just for information.
Is it clear there?
Yes, it is. It shows we have 15,000 in the account. Yeah.
And we had a shortfall of 17,994.
Okay, thanks.
Anyway, sorry, just part of the statement. Thank you for including.
So now let me go back to the agenda. We're ahead of time. Hey, wow. Let me move to the agenda. So I want to get out of that. And
we're right on time. Well, yeah, we're ahead of time.
So this is our new strategic plan, and we are not proposing going into details of this. We have 5 major goals, provincial climate, as stated, and when we've finalized that plan and dotted all the I's and crossed all the T's, we'll share it with everyone in detail, but we're not going to go into it now because that would be a lengthy thing. So we now come to the election for 4 vacancies. We have 4 vacancies on the board because Tara Catherine and myself are finishing 2-year terms and putting ourselves forward for a new 2-year term. And Deb Morrison has put her name forward to fill the 4th vacancy. And basically, we invite each of these 4 people to take 5 minutes to share why you're running. We apologize. They did give us written statements and we failed to circulate the PDFs of those to you. So in your 5 minutes, just tell people who you are, why you want to rejoin the board. And Deborah, are you willing to go first? Deborah was one of our founding members back in 2021. Deb, the floor is yours.
Thank you. So I'm really excited to actually have my life back in somewhat of an order that I can participate. I've been dealing with family illness for a few years, for multiple dimensions of family illness. So I am excited actually to now be working only part-time with my professional job and being able to just write and like engage in more local action. I am obviously, as a founding member of WeCan, I'm very interested in the work and I'm a big network development kind of specialist in my own field. I'm a climate learning designer and activist. I work all the way from local scales up to the UN and really think about how we intersect, like some of the comments that were done earlier around biological diversity issues, issues of environmental justice and issues of climate justice and how all of those intersect deeply. So I would love to be able to rejoin the board. I was originally elected onto the first board, but I had to resign because of family illnesses. And so I would really love to lean back into the work and just bring whatever is useful into the space. Happy to answer any questions. I put my own professional site there. You can fill your boots with everything you want to know about me. And yeah, happy to be here today. The organization that I have sort of built up to help me manage my life and like shift into individual sort of workflow away from some of the universities that I've been working with over the years is called Clear Environmental. And originally we ran it as a company, but a not-for-profit company. We are now migrating it into charity status. So it's called Clear Environmental. And I can share that link too.
So I invite any questions for Deborah. I'll start with one. You are also an elected public. Do you tell us about that?
Yes. So I, for the last 7 years, I've been a trustee for the Islands Trust. I live on Salt Spring Island now because of the family dynamics. We needed a hospital, but I'm the elected representative for North Pender Island and continue to be. I was asked by community to continue. So I have another year on my term. In that role in 2019, I think it was, I wrote and then co-sponsored the climate change emergency motion for the trust as well. So.
Harry, you have a question. And you're muted.
What does a climate learning designer do? My wife is a school teacher. She or semi-retired, and she works with Regen and develops presentations for community education. Is there any crossover between those two roles?
There is. So I actually taught in the classroom as well, but I've worked extensively in the K-12 and K-20, like up into higher education systems. But learning designer is a little bit broader. So I do learning, like we learn all across our lives in all different settings. Schooling is just one very colonial kind of structure of learning. So how do we expand out learning and have all of society learning around climate is the question that I address. So professional learning, green energy transition jobs, how do we help political leaders learn so that they do better? All of those types of learning.
And I have a second backup question. Under the Biden administration, you were working with some arm of the Biden administration on their climate agenda. Do you want to tell us?
Oh yeah, we did some amazing things which are being deconstructed, and it's like deeply hurtful at the moment. But so I worked with the justice organizations all across the United States and grassroots organizations all across the United States, both to write a policy statement, which later became a book, just to be able to mobilize it more rapidly, called Empowering Climate Action in the United States, and as part of that, I was engaged in a direct lobbying and advocacy effort, which actually gained ground. And in 2023, we got what's called the Environmental Protection Agency Thriving Community Technical Assistance Centers. It was $177 million mobilized toward regional centers for action that engage community, university, government. And I was the pen on the paper for the design of that. So that's what a learning designer does.
Very cool. Any other questions for Deb? If not, Catherine, would you like to take the floor and
Sure.
tell us why you want to run again? Yeah.
I am running again. I've been on the board for 5 years now. I'm the team leader for the Indigenous outreach team or Indigenous engagement. I think we have ambivalence in our title. And the JEDI team, that's Justice, Equity, Diversity, and Inclusion. And for the last year, I've also served as the board secretary. I'm really eager to keep working on building these teams and on all the other work that I've been doing with We Can. I'm a mother and a grandmother, and in the last year, a great-grandmother, and I have a passion for ensuring that we're building a sustainable and livable world for our descendants and all other life forms. And I've been engaged with the climate. I don't think we called it climate in those days, but back in the 70s, I was deeply engaged in trying to reduce, reuse, and recycle. I can remember making decisions about which cars to buy based on their gas consumption when in the middle of the energy crisis in the 1970s. So there I'm dating myself. I diapered all of my children with cloth diapers that I made myself. And when my grandson was born 19 years ago, I made cloth diapers for him as well. And I was recycling long before there were any easy ways of doing that. My career straddled the arts and the sciences. I was educated in the arts, but I worked most of my career in education, journalism, and communications. I spent 20 years working for a large multinational high-tech organization where I was involved in helping engineers improve their interpersonal skills. I think that the strengths that I bring to We Can are my communication skills. I have a long history of problem solving collaboratively and harmoniously. I really appreciate working in a team. That's how I do my best work. I'm a really strong systems thinker and have a good ability to see patterns and connections between apparently unrelated events or concepts. And I have a governance experience in a lot of different settings, ranging from daycare to strata councils to community associations, interest organizations, and NGOs. And finally, a little known but hopefully interesting fact about me. I grew up in the shadow of prison walls. My father was a prison guard who had a huge social justice ethic, and he raised his children to always be aware of the life circumstances that led people to be wherever they are and to have compassion for others. And this upbringing has profoundly affected the person that I am today. So I'm really excited at the possibility of continuing to serve on the We Can board. I think We Can is just what we need right now. We need to amplify our power to achieve real positive action, to deal with the climate emergency. And even though we're up against forces, I think we can prevail if we work together. So that's me.
Thank you, Catherine. And before I give my own pitch for running, I realized that there is a motion we had to pass coming out of the financial report about not needing an auditor. So when we've done the election, we'll go back and we'll do that motion. It's a legal requirement and we just forgot it. So my pitch for running for a third two-year term, I have been immersed in the climate movement for 30 years. And I have these simultaneous emotions of real distress around what the climate crisis is bringing us, and real excitement about what the world looks like when we adopt all the climate solutions that are available. I mean, just to take one thing, we limited air pollution. All the unnecessary deaths from, cardiac and bronchial, all this sort of stuff would end when we eliminate the use of fossil fuels. So, and every time I read a new story about how dire things are going to be or how exciting the solutions are, I'm being remotivated. I was one of the 3 founders of We Can in the beginning of 2021. I have been involved in almost all of the teams. I have an average of 250 team meetings a year. So there's endless practical stuff. But the thing I'm also equally proud of is that we have built a culture of kindness. We start every meeting with a social circle so that we get to know each other as people, as family, as friends. That's enough. Tara, pass to you.
Oh, my dear Guy, how can I top that? you, it's so wonderful to be with you all, and and to first of all, I'd like to acknowledge where I'm coming from the lands of the Hockamilum and Hunkaminam, not Hockamilum, Hunkaminam and Squamish speaking peoples on the unceded traditional territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, Tsleil-Waututh, and Coquitlam nations. And I have to say one thing before I talk about myself is that Catherine and Guy are absolute pillars, and Deb, I am so gobsmacked at what you're doing. I'm speechless actually. And so I'm not going to say much in my speech. It seems like it. But, it's really very nice to have you as part of our family. And I do want to acknowledge, our past and present board members. As you will join us, Deb, you will see that they're a unique, talented, body of people who bring so much strength to the organization. And as you can see from our annual report, the immense work we are able to do. So enough about them. Why do I want to be on the board? Well, I want to be part of the cool kids, of course. But this is, again, like Guy, this is the third term running. And, we've just, I guess, in my introduction on the website, it said where I came from. So I'll just give you a little snippet of who I am. So I'm a South Asian guest settler. I came to Canada 23 years ago, but, as a kid, I think I was always involved in climate action, whether it was as a child, saving butterflies from being entrapped, or, slug rights. There was such a thing as slug rights. And, just growing up in India, seeing the ravages of the monsoons and what it actually did for people living on the marginalized edges of society. So, that it's from a social justice perspective that climate, justice became something of great value for me. And this carried on through college years. I was part of the Chipko movement. I don't know if you all have heard. This was the original tree hugger movement. And it actually started from India, with this Bishnoi tribe in the 1700s. And then when there was clear cutting after devastating floods in the Himalayas, again, it was taken up by the women, the indigenous women of the Himalayan region. So, that's the kind of background I came from. Fast forward, landed in Burnaby, on Burnaby Mountain, next to the TMX tank farms, and it was history from there. I just got involved with, social justice and environmental justice groups. So why do I want to, go on for the third term? I think we've done tremendous work in, WeCan. We've just come up with a strategic plan. We've always been focused, but now we've sort of, honed in on what we need to do in 5 different categories. So I really want to be a part of that. Moreover, if anybody knows me, they know what a transportation fiend I am. Roger knows it because I wrote a letter to George Heyman about having a BC-wide bus, which was actually initiated by UBCIC, in 2018. It wasn't an original settler idea. It was, something that they propounded. So I want to do that. Strategic plan. And of course, I am involved in so many communities, and I'm also on the board of Fair Vote Canada and CARFAC BC and New West Film Society. So I bring all those intersectionalities into the work I do, and a lot of it is social justice. So, just connecting all of that, and of course, furthering our relationship with, Indigenous groups and organizations, and just understanding our role as, being reciprocal. And I just wanted to end with this, it's something I attended a board meeting yesterday, but I think it's such a wonderful lesson for all of us on interpersonal relations. So interpersonal relations, not a fixed statement of strategy, but a set of coordinated steps grounded in the awareness that meaningful relationships take time, care, and consistency. And this is when you have an ED who is, our ED in CARFAC BC is a Métis Cree. And this is what you get. So my hands raised to her, and thank you so much.
Thank you, Tara. I forgot to give an opportunity, I think, for questions to myself, Tara, or Catherine before we move to a vote on this one. Does anyone wish to raise any questions? If not, the intention is to move to a vote of acclamation for all 4 candidates, but I want to ask, just for the sake of it, are there 2 or more voting members who require a wish or require a secret ballot? If not, Doug, do you want to? Yes.
Can I move that nominations be closed?
Okay, that's a piece we hadn't thought of. Yes. So there's a motion by Doug to close nominations. That's Roger. Is that a seconding or is that an extra comment? It's a seconded by Roger. Any discussion of this? Then we move to a vote to close nominations. I think that's a part of it all. Put my hand up. Hands up, everyone, to a vote to close nominations. Catherine, as soon as we're past 20, we're okay.
Yeah, we're past 20.
Okay, so that motion is any abstentions, any votes against? That motion is passed, and then I would like to move, would anyone like to move a vote of acclamation to accept all 4 nominees to be new members of the weekend board? Moved, I see, by Doug. Anyone else? Seconded by Saskia. Any discussion? Laurie, is that a question or a vote? No. Any discussion? Then we move to the vote. All those in favor.
Robert, did Robert have a question?
No, it's a vote, it's just a clapping. It says raise hands for this vote to acclamation for the 4 nominees. Catherine to affirm the vote.
Yep, it's good.
Yay. We can all do that.
Got one more vote that you have to do. You have to go back and do the.
Correct. So I'm going to go back and ask for a motion that this is around the financial report. The motion is, be it further resolved to waive the appointment of auditors for the West Coast Climate Action Network Society for the 2025 fiscal year. Someone willing to move that motion? Jane, is that a vote or a hand up? And Mary, no, can you put your hand down? And Mariama, can you put your hands down? Okay. Is anyone willing to move the motion to waive the auditors? Yes, moved by Deb, seconded by Tom. Any discussion? Voting hand, all those in favor, please raise your hands. Quick count by Catherine.
It's good.
All looking good. We could tell declare the motion passed. And I want to give thanks to Eric Minty. Eric, is it Eric here? Eric, go on, take the floor. We're thanking you for your participation for the last while.
Oh, sure. I didn't prepare anything, but
don't need to. Just go for it.
Yeah, no. I'm going to start out with. I think I'm going to just start out by speaking with gratitude to, because I've been a member of the board for I think 3 years. I think that's where we landed. I don't even remember. We had a discussion about it, and it was weird. But it's You know, it's a lot of work. It turns out that I just don't have the space for it in my life right now. Too many things going on with my professional consulting practice startup business. I've got, you know, family health things that I have to help with, and so there's too many things. Unfortunately, I had to go. I'm so relieved to see somebody sort of taking that extra spot that I freed up. And I think as we've gone on, I can see the caliber of everyone involved in WeCan. Like everyone who's involved and the people who are drawn in are much. I would say we've learned a lot, and we're starting to attract people that have just tremendous pedigrees in the climate movement and tremendous experience and knowledge, and the credibility that I think the organization has established since I've been involved. I've noticed a dramatic change. So that's due to the work of, and I should point out that like everybody involved on the teams and the board are all volunteers. It is a huge amount of work. It is definitely worthwhile. And so congratulations to Deb for stepping in. And this is, you know, I'm excited to see what's happening. I'm going to still be involved with the local government team, something I'm very passionate about. And I'm involved in local government affairs here in Victoria as well. Will continue to be, but I just have to limit my involvement. So the one thing I wanted to say, and I said this at our last board meeting, which is, this is a complex space. We don't always agree on things. It is an exceedingly complex space, and we're doing very complex things within a complex space. So there is conflict, but it is the resilience and the commitment to respect and the constant commitment to respect and building and relationship building. That is a strength of WeCan that cannot be underestimated. It is tremendous and it is inspiring. So yeah, I think I'm going to leave it with that. I have a tremendous amount of respect for everybody involved and gratitude for having been involved myself and all the work that's going on.
Thanks, Eric. And I realized that we did appoint 3 new board members during the year who were, because we had vacancies when mostly younger people who actually were elected last year discovered they were not up to doing the job. So it's Brad, Saskia, and Lauren. Would you like to take a minute each to introduce yourselves to everyone here? Brad, you go first. Is Brad still with us? Yes.
I am. Yeah. Thanks very much for the opportunity, Guy. My name is Brad Proctor. I'm in Victoria on Lekwungen territory. I'm very grateful to be working with this group. It's just been this year. Myself, I'm a lawyer by trade, used to practice as a corporate litigator, and in another past life as a real estate developer building rental apartment buildings. But I was fortunate enough to find my way to the nonprofit environmental sector about 8 years ago now. And I'm the executive director of a charity in Victoria in Lekwungen territory called the Gorge Waterway Action Society. We run a nature house in a place called Esquimalt Gorge Park and do nature education, which is where we started 8 years ago when I started running the charity. And since then, we added a restoration department and we do biological monitoring. And a few years ago, probably 5 years ago, I realized we had nothing on climate. And that's sort of where my specific climate journey started, when I realized that we were doing environmental work somehow without any climate work, which I've since found is actually not that uncommon still. So, and so we started a climate program where we do mainly climate education. That led me to WeCan, the BC Climate Emergency Campaign, and most of you folks. And spending more and more of my time in the climate space as time goes on, and I'm really thankful for that. What else to share? I guess a little bit about me. I grew up in Victoria, but have sort of spent a long time in Ontario before I came back with my family. 2 young boys. I think it was probably during COVID when I spent my most time thinking about what I thought I should do with the rest of my time, and decided that it was to focus on trying to help with the climate crisis. So that's a little bit about me. And thanks so much for the time to share, and thanks everybody for all the opportunity to work together.
Thanks, Brad. Saskia and your youngster, do you want to take a minute?
Yeah, of course. Thanks, Guy. And nice to see all the new faces of people that I haven't met yet. I'm indeed not alone. My 2 years old son, Morris, is here as well. So I have been off and on camera for this meeting, but I've been following it. So a bit about myself. I moved to Vancouver last September, so September 2024, from the Netherlands. So that's where I'm originally from. And I moved here with Morris and my partner, and there might be some background noises now because he's playing with the car. So we moved here, I guess, mainly because we had this dream of building a life somewhere else and not having to live in one place our entire life. And we love mountains, and Vancouver is surrounded by it. So that's our primary reason why we've moved. A bit about my professional background. So I bring an international development background. So I started off my career working for Oxfam for the innovation team, and I've been on a strategy board advising team. And the innovation team I focus my work on climate adaptation projects and humanitarian innovation work. But then after having worked for Oxfam for around 6 years, I thought I wanted to move to an organization that's solely focused on combating or contributing to solving the climate crisis. So I started working for European Climate Foundation, and specifically for the 2050 Pathways platform. And that's a team that is dedicated to working with national governments on advising them to develop long-term climate or net zero strategies that is part of the Paris Agreement. So I've been doing that with several national governments to develop those net zero strategies towards 2050. Going fork right now. So that has been super, I've learned a lot. And it also motivated me more to dedicate my professional and personal life to doing everything I can to solve the climate crisis, because it's not only an environmental crisis, it's also a social or human crisis. So the social justice angle I really want to bring in, and I guess that's the Oxfam background that I bring as well. So I joined Oxfam. I joined Weekend in January this year. I've been engaged in the membership team, the governance team, and we'll also be engaging in the fundraising team. So I'm happy that I got accepted as a director, and I will pause here. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks so much, Saskia. And so Lauren.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Guy. I'm calling in from Nanaimo on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Snuneymuxw First Nation. I'm a professor at Vancouver Island University. I split my time also as a researcher with Royal Roads University, located in Victoria. My PhD is in public administration. I specialize in energy, climate policy, and I do a lot of work in emergency disaster management. I'm actually also with the Red Cross and also involved here in the city of Nanaimo on emergency support services. So I get called on disaster sites pretty much to support evacuees. So hopefully nothing happens this summer, because I really hate being called on wildfires and floods to intervene. I'm really delighted to be part of Weekend. I think there's a lot of work to do. I did not mention, but I work a lot on Indigenous policy. I'm actually working on 2 books right now on the Truth and Reconciliation, as well as Missing Murdered Indigenous Women, Girls, and Two-Spirited, because 2025 is actually the 10th year anniversary of the TRC, and next year in 2026, this will be the 10th anniversary of the Missing Murdered Commission. So there is a lot of work and lots of policy analysis to do here, and I connect that work to climate change as well as environmental protection, primarily because I see environmental policies and climate policies as an outcome of reconciliation, and this is quite difficult actually to frame it this way. Right now I'm doing a lot of work on building actually a new research center. This is going to be an international center collaborating with communities, actually island communities, primarily across the world. I've received what we call the Queen Elizabeth Scholarship Funding, which is a very prestigious funding from the Rideau Hall Foundation. And I was able to send 5 students to Africa right now. So they're spending 80 days doing work in Senegal and St. Louis on climate adaptation, mitigation, and policy advocacy. And then they're going to be coming back, and we're going to be doing some work in Brazil at the UN in November. So in a nutshell, that's my work. And I look forward to contributing.
Thanks, Lauren. So, Shaylee, can you?
Just before we move on, I'd like to thank a couple of other people who were part of our board for much of the last year and who have had to resign. I'd like to thank, and neither of them is able to be here tonight because they had to resign before this meeting occurred. I'd like to thank Sharon Marshall and Summer Tyance, 2 Indigenous women who were appointed members of our board. We have reserved 2 seats on our board for people that bring an Indigenous perspective. And Sharon served for more than a year on our board and needed to leave because other work that she was doing with First Nations women, previously incarcerated women, was taking too much of her time. And Summer Tyance, a young First Nations woman who is working on a law degree at UVic and was just swamped with the requirements of her degree program. But both of them made a huge contribution to our board, and I would really like to acknowledge that today here.
Thank you. Shaylee, can you spotlight the entire 11 people so we can show our whole board to everyone, and then we can sign off on the whole AGM?
I don't know if there's a limit to spotlighting, but I'll try. Just give me a moment.
Let's see how much we can do, whether it's possible to spotlight 11 people.
Okay, give me a sec.
I know you did 5 before. 3, 4, 5.
We're testing the system.
It says the limit's 9. Let's see.
6, 7. Then there's Mariama, Deb. That's on 8. Is Mariama still with us? Yes, is Mariama, 9. And who else do we have? Who's missing?
Allison's not here, so that's one.
Allison's not here. She's away traveling. Yes, Allison is away.
This is as many as it lets me. I can't add more than that.
That's the maximum. Who's our 10th person? And Allison's not here, and we're missing.
We're missing Saskia.
Saskia's here.
I guess.
Robert is not. Oh yeah, no, she is spotlighted. Okay.
But Robert isn't.
And Robert.
Robert,
our treasurer.
Let me see if I
Right,
can.
you can do Robert if he's still with us.
You can remove me and add Robert.
That's okay. It was they're testing the system.
Yeah, it doesn't let me add another
And
one.
Robert.
Sorry.
Anyway, there's our board. Let's wind things up with our motion to. You can go back to the full meeting now, Shaylee. And we have a motion to adjourn the AGM.